大家好，我是 All Branch 的 Alan. So we all have stress, whether it's coming from your workplace, your finances, or from your family. And we all know that high stress is really bad for your health, but it's an abstract thing. It's not like a cut where you can just bandage it up and it'll just heal over time. Fortunately, science and technology has given us a new tool that can not only help us track it, but also to combat it and also track its progress. And that tool is heart rate variability, or HRV for short. We've all been there, when you just can't seem to let go of that backhanded comment from a frenemy, or maybe a nasty comment left on your social media post. Your whole body feels it. Your ears feel warm, and your mind keeps racing with a million thoughts, none of which are really coherent. And you can't help but think about all the different things you could have said or done. You may be going through an emotional roller coaster of different feelings like anger, fear, or sadness. You may be in this preoccupied state for not only hours, but maybe even days. And this mindless rumination not only affects the mind, but also the body. Physiologically speaking, your sympathetic nervous system is sensing threat and danger in your environment. So it does the one thing that it's been designed to do: protect. And it does this through the fight or flight syndrome. It sends signals to your glands to produce hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, and that will make you go faster and be stronger. And it also releases glucagon to release more glucose into your bloodstream to give you more fuel for energy. This happens in an instant, as you've undoubtedly experienced its split-second response every time you jump when someone pulls a prank on you. When left unchecked, a prolonged state of being in stress causes this cortisol to cause a havoc on your body by way of inflammation. Your blood pressure remains high, your blood glucose level stays elevated, and your sleep quality is hampered. In other words, your sympathetic nervous system is overly active. Fortunately, your nervous system comes with brakes, and that is the parasympathetic nervous system. This is your rest and digest response, and its job is to relax the body and repair it. When you're digesting a meal or when you're asleep, your parasympathetic nervous system is now active, slowing down the heart rate and stimulating any tissue repair that you might need, like after a workout. So you can see why now that the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system are both equally firing and are in balance. Let's first understand exactly what HRV is. And you can actually refer to my earlier video where I actually explain it in great detail, and I myself have been tracking it for years. But let's take, for example, that your heart rate is beating at 60 beats per minute. So that's 1 beat per second. Now, your heart actually isn't beating 1 beat per second on the dot. It's actually fluctuating. So it's something like 1 beat every 0.987 seconds. The next beat will be 1.019 seconds. The next beat might be 1.002 seconds. And so they average out to be about 1 beat per second, which then comes out to 60 beats per minute. It turns out that that variance is the measure of your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system balance. It's actually a very complicated process, and I don't want to bore you with the minutia. However, you need to understand is that the irregularity of the beat-to-beat intervals actually is telling you the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system are both very adaptable and very sensitive to the external environment, constantly monitoring for any changes and then adjusting your heart rate in accordance to that. An unhealthy nervous system with a very steady interval beat is actually telling you that it's not very responsive to the environment. An extreme example would be if you were to cut off that nerve that connects to your heart to regulate its heartbeat or the irregularity of it, then your heart rate will actually become very steady like a metronome. And this is actually not a good thing. Here's another analogy to drive the point home. If your brain is a race car driver and your sympathetic nervous system is the gas pedal and your parasympathetic nervous system is the brake pedal, then you want to ensure that you have good control on both pedals to ensure a good and successful ride. At any given point in a driving course, there will be times when you'll have to accelerate hard off the bend or brake really hard before entering a turn. So if you're living a stressful life, then it's like your foot is constantly on the gas pedal and you're going to drive right off the cliff. But if you were to look at the footage of a professional race car driver's footwork, then you'll actually see that it's highly non-uniform. Imagine if the race car driver had to apply 50% on the gas pedal and 50% on the brake pedal, then it would not be a very pretty drive. There are a couple of use cases. I myself have been wearing a tracker for years now, so I have a lot of data on my HRV. And I actually find that it gets more accurate as time goes by. Perhaps the algorithm understands me better. You can see that when I have a bout of low HRV, I can actually pinpoint to a very specific event in my day. I will perform meditation and breathing exercises, and just like that, my HRV will jump right back up. It's remarkable how just meditation and breathing exercises can improve your HRV. If you want to learn more about how breathing can help improve your anxiety, you can refer to my earlier video here. Another use case for HRV is you can actually see a wider view of your HRV trend. Earlier in the year, I was suffering from knee injury and actually got quite ill, and my training completely halted. Seeing my HRV decline over the months was the wake-up call that I needed to rehabilitate the knee as soon as I can so I can start training immediately. And sure enough, my HRV began rising. This is quite surprising how such accessible technology can now read into your nervous system to determine how stressed out you are, and with surprising accuracy too. And paired with breathing exercises and mindfulness training, you now have a full suite of tools to not only identify, but combat and track your stress levels. I learned a lot of this from Dr. Peter Tia's interview with Joel Jameson. So if you're interested in learning more about this, I refer you to their podcast. That's it for today. I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I'll see you next time.